So if you've been around on the internet in the past couple of days, then you'll probably realize that Neon Genesis Evangelion finally came out on Netflix, and that's a little surprising to a lot of people. And if you were to type it in on Google, then you would find something akin to this, where people are talking about it ad nauseum on places like The Verge, where, there's always an allegory for something because we always need that deeper hidden meaning in something that's supposed to be cool. But we have one active, thinking brain who's going to rise above all of this, and that person is, in fact, going to be Mother's Base... Oh, that's right, he said something stupid. Well, let's go ahead and see if we can check more of his Twitter right here. This little search, and... Well, it's too bad I'm blocked. But let's see what he has to say.
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
This is directly from his video talking about 4 classic anime that need an HD remaster, which you'll understand why this is a stupid title to begin with.
I don't think I really need to say much about why Evangelion is so important.
No, I think you need to, especially the way that you're spurking out on Twitter. I think we all need an explanation.
It upended the mecha genre, changed the face of TV anime forever, and paved the way for other studios to make ambitious original projects like it.
More original products. I'm pretty sure that I said something about that, maybe it was in the past week, but who gives a shit? Let's just keep going.
It skyrocketed Gainax to the forefront of the industry, while simultaneously generating such an absurd amount of revenue that the company's president decided to hoard some of it just in case and ended up getting sent down for tax evasion. But that's a story for another day.
Yeah, another story for another day, but Gainax has also made a lot of original stories. I think you know where I'm getting at with this. But a lot of those stories that they've made, or the anime that they've produced that are original properties or original IPs, have come out to be pretty decent. I wouldn't say that they're probably the best, but the other shows like Gurren Lagann or even Fooly Cooly are among some of the greats that people put up on a high pedestal.
Evangelion redefined anime and introduced it to a whole new generation of fans around the world. And yet, at a time when anime is more popular in the West than it's ever been before, there is literally no legal way to watch Evangelion over here.
That is until as of June 21st, but, we're not going to go there. But you're using a lot of lingo there about how it, redefined anime on TV, and it's this great show. I think it's okay, and I think even the creator of it just said he wanted to make something cool. It's kind of like when people take Phil Collins' song, and he was just like, I just want to make something cool, like it has no deeper meaning. This is that. This is the anime equivalent of that song.
You can't stream it, and the only English DVDs available were released by ADV almost 2 decades ago and have long since been discontinued, selling for somewhere in the ballpark of way too much fucking money for one TV show.
See, a lot of what you're saying contradicts what you truly believe, because if I remember correctly, I made a tweet, and it was about how you had went to a thrift store and bought the entire DVD box set. So, in essence, you went against your own rule that you put up in the there's no way to legally watch anime if you have to pirate it. That video, you remember? That one? Yeah, you said that you can't just buy it from some third-party seller because then it doesn't go to the original creator. So you've kind of sidestepped your own argument here. But then the other thing is that when you're saying that that costs too much fucking money, well, I think what you're really trying to imply is that everyone's as cheap as you. Generally speaking, $190 is a little steep for a DVD box set. I'm not even going to lie about that. But when I bought my Blu-ray boxes for Symphogear, they were easily $200 for the entire series. Plus it came with the character disc and a couple of other collectibles. But that's besides the point. Is that these are already good deals. And even if you have to spend the $190 to get that complete set, it's the original one as it came out and as it was intended to be seen. Not an HD remaster that you have to worry about what they changed. Netflix. Excuse me. Sorry, that was a little bit of a stretch there. But yeah, I think you get the point.
So, Eva is one of the most culturally significant anime of all time. It's also one of the most in-demand anime releases of all time for Western fans. It's also been remastered on Blu-ray in Japan already.
Do you know what the title of your video is?
So why the heck hasn't someone snapped up the rights, thrown it up on a streaming platform, and put it out on Blu-ray here?
Oh, that's funny. You think it's going to go to Crunchyroll, but this was some terrible foresight, because it went to Netflix instead. Also, I like how you assume that everything has to be on Crunchyroll. If they wanted to spend the money, I'm sure that would have been no problem for them, the same way that it was no problem for Netflix. But that's a whole nother argument for another day, as we like to put it here in the industry. I'm sure that you probably have all the numbers for that.
The short answer is money, though not in the way that you might think. Yes, the rights to release the anime in North America were thrown into limbo with the closure of ADV in 2009, but many of their other licenses have been reacquired over the years and even been remastered.
See, you keep using the term remaster, and I think you mean re-released, because like Cowboy Bebop has been remastered / re-released a number of times. Even Dragon Ball Z has been remastered or re-released in just a short amount of time since it came here to North America. So stop using those words. Stop being the big dumb.
The thing is, Eva is kind of in a unique position. The real problem, as far as I can tell, seems to be Gainax. They've already gotten into fights over the rights. In 2011, ADV had to sue Gainax over a previously agreed upon film rights option that the studio refused to take payment for or honor, which apparently ended up stopping the production of a live-action Eva movie at a major studio.
So good guy Gainax said, "We're not gonna let you make a live-action movie because that would be a terrible idea." I mean, were they wrong? Were they wrong, though? But I will agree with you, though. It is a pretty shitty thing for them to do, to say, yeah, we want to do this, and then at the last second just kind of, back out of it. But honestly, if they saw the Western movie market, I'm sure that they probably thought Hollywood would have fucked this up. And in fact, I remember reading in a magazine once that they wanted Keanu Reeves to be Shinji in the live-action movie. That's weird, but maybe not so much now.
And while it's probably a good thing that that movie was never made, all things considered, the whole kerfuffle around it shows that Gainax has become much less willing over the years to license the original Eva series outside of Japan. And that's probably because it's worth way too much to them.
Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's just Gainax being that way because they have too much faith and money in their product, but from my own point of view, and I hate to keep bringing up Symphogear as though it is the end-all be-all, but it's really not. I just like using it as an example. But that show is also a protected IP that only exists in Japan, and it's incredibly hard to find anything merchandise-wise here in America. That's why you generally have to go on Amazon or even Hobby Stock over in Japan to find those items to import them. In fact, the only streaming rights that they have available right now are on Crunchyroll, except for the last season that they have because, I guess money speaks. But generally speaking, I think it's just some things they just don't intend to release. But with Neon Genesis, though, I think it's because they know that it makes a lot of money and they're not going to settle for anything less. But that's just a theory.
Remember that Japanese Blu-ray box that I brought up a minute ago?
Yeah, I remember it.
It retailed for an absurd MSRP of 41,000 yen, or around $400.
You remember that Symphogear Blu-ray box that I was telling you about earlier? Well, it starts out at a staggering 19,731 Japanese yen, or it translates over to $183.86 if you're here in the Americas. And that's only half of the size of the season as Neon Genesis.
And people bought it in droves. However, that would change immediately if the show could be purchased for less than that on Blu-ray in the States. Japanese fans would just be able to reverse import it, and Gainax wouldn't be able to charge that insane markup.
Blu-ray markups are one of the reasons that most Japanese fans over in Japan, some of them are here, but most Japanese fans don't really like buying Blu-rays. They're for the hardcore otaku, the ones that really like to spend money on their hobby. That's who they make that for, not for the everyday casual viewer like myself. And I would have to agree that we are somewhat blessed here in the West because we are able to buy whole seasons of anime for literally about 60 or 70 bucks on Blu-ray, which is a considerable amount of money when you look at, how much they cost over in Japan for an entire season, like Symphogear, for example, being $200, whereas I can get the entire first 2 seasons of Space Dandy for almost $30 a piece. So, that's just how it all tumbles down, I would say.
Which, to be fair, is probably worth more to them in the long term than they could reasonably charge for the license, and since everyone with talent left the company years ago, they have very little chance of making something of that value ever again. So, unless something changes, don't expect this release to come anytime soon.
Oh, don't you worry, Jeff Thew. We're gonna have a lot of fun with all of this when this video eventually gets lost into the archives of time, since it came out like just a year ago. I think that we'll get exactly what we want from this.
But those other shows? I think we've got at least a decent shot of seeing them in our lifetime.
Only on Crunchyroll. No, we're probably not going to see them on there either. But no, in all seriousness, Jeff Thew, I think you're just, I don't know, you're not entirely wrong about this, but I think that you just don't understand that your contradictions on Twitter and the things that you're saying in this video, they're just two separate things. I don't think that you truly enjoy Eva because you say that you love it here, but then when it comes out on Netflix, it's almost like you have a bias. Almost like you're supposed to hate Netflix. Video after video after video, it's just you talking about how bad Netflix is. And that's not to say that they're without faults of their own, like this translation thing, but so is Crunchyroll. I don't want any service to be the end-all be-all. I mean, that would probably be the ideal thing where we can watch all of our content on one thing that is available for everyone, but unfortunately that's just not the case. And you guys can watch Unique Namosaurus's video about the intellectual property and things of that nature. But for all intents and purposes, I think that you have somewhat of a bias here because you love it when you're talking about it in this video, but now you hate it when you're speaking out about it on Twitter, saying that it's more heavily fan service based than Kill la Kill. I don't know where you came up with that assertion from, but that's, sorry, I'm probably going to get demonetized, but that's just fucking stupid. But I don't know why you would think that way. Anything that's owned by AT&T, Time Warner, or their parent company, Elation, that Crunchyroll is a part of, if it's about any of those properties like Detective Pikachu or even Aggretsuko that, isn't necessarily on Crunchyroll but still has merchandise through Crunchyroll's store, I mean, you say good things about those things. And that's not to say that you do this all the time because, obviously that's something that I can't really prove myself. But your actions lead me to believe that you do this for monetary gain. I mean, have you seen your video about your BetterHelp where you said that Yu-Gi-Oh! Help saved you from depression? I mean, sure, it probably did for a lot of people, but then when you start shilling out that BetterHelp stuff to me, it starts to sound like you don't care. And that's where I have a couple of these issues with. So, for all intents and purposes, this isn't any part of the things that people think that this is. I'm not here to cancel Jeff Thew. I'm just making observations based on the world around me, and if they happen to change, then so am I. But I think I've been pretty clear in my stance that fuck Crunchyroll, and also, just the fact that whenever you guys are talking about Crunchyroll, it's escapes my brain because a lot of you guys that don't really care for Steven Crowder, and not to say that I care either, he's just kind of a person, I'm not sub to him or anything. He shells out his own merchandise, but you guys shell out for Crunchyroll with your promo codes all the time. Get some type of self-awareness. Holy shit. I didn't really expect to make a video, but holy shit, this is bad. This is really bad, guys.